Good morning. So we'll start with the OS boot procedure. Okay. Once again, this is also an icebreaker session. I have not seen people asking these days until you are L1, L2. So most of the L1, L2 they'll check this. If you know the boot procedure right, which means that you know most of the area because boot procedure covers from the power on, LVM, services. So it covers touches most of the areas of Unix. That's why people do ask or interviewers do ask in the icebreaker time. They'll say explain the boot procedure of AX and leave it. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a standard boot procedure for any system, whether it is Linux, Windows, AX, HPX. I'll just define the standard, and then what we are going to do is go and replace the keywords where in Linux it is like this, in AX you have to change it to this. So we know one standard. You speak to an HPX interview, change that. You say go to an AX interview, change those keywords. That's it. Is that fine? Okay. So OS booting and shutting down are very important stuff. So we'll just go one by one and see how that should be done. Okay. Okay. So you know powering on a machine. So we are going very slow. Normally what we do is we just power on the machine. We did that in the morning. We came up, switched on all the switches, yeah, and waited for some time till the login comes. If you do that, you are an end user. That's what we do in a laptop and PC, right? Switch on, wait for the login screen to come, click login, go to the desktop and start working. But the scenario has got changed because you are not an end user, you are a system administrator. Many a times, system will not come up to the login prompt. Somewhere it gets some issue and it will break. In those cases, how are you going to troubleshoot and fix it? For which you need to know the flow. Yeah, we'll see that. So let's take the very first step called power off. I will just First step is power on. What is power on? Switching on the power. So whatever you did today morning, we are going to just see that in a very slow pace. You just powered on these boxes. So you press the power on. Have you seen the Havels ad advertisement? When power goes, that guy will just something like sleeping. But when power comes, it's something like a boxing comes and beats. Like, have you ever felt a shock? Have you ever felt shock in your life? How was it? Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, there are many people addicted to shocks. Whenever they feel not energized, they go and touch the plug, get some shock, and they get energized. Yeah. So you know how the shock is, right? The same shock is going to get inside this machine, and the machine is getting woken up. Okay. So I'm going to just take a bit out of this and show you something. Okay. In our brain, we have a section called amygdala. Okay. On your what do you call that brain stem that runs from your brain till the spinal cord. It's called brainstem. Just at the beginning of the brainstem, there's a small red color button is there. That is called panic button. In medical term, it is called amygdala. You know what is the function of that particular amygdala? When you are speaking to Raj Mahesh, Logesh speaking to Raj Mahesh, he didn't expect Raj Mahesh would slap him. Surprisingly, Raj Mahesh trying to slap. What happens? Unknowingly, your left hand comes to block. Yeah. So your brain has not even triggered a issue, but still your that panic button has given you that feeling of block it. And we cannot even climb a 4 feet or 3 feet wall. Just imagine you are in Wonderwood Zoo. A lion has came out of the cage and it is chasing you. How big the wall is, you still climb. If it is 7 feet, 8 feet, there is some extra energy that comes to you to jump over that. Yeah, that's what. This amygdala triggers that adrenaline, that the energy stuff will come and you will just push yourself out of your capability and run. Very classic example would be: have you seen accidents on road? Just imagine a two-wheeler hits a lorry and that guy falls down on the road. He immediately stands up. The accident victim stands up, goes to the side of the road, and he falls down, collapses. When you take him to the doctor, doctor will say his two legs are fractured. He cannot walk for 6 months. What? He cannot walk for 6 months, and he walked 6 feet and fell down. What made him walk? Have you ever seen that incident? it would happen to everyone that man has not woken on his senses. That amygdala panic button has triggered an event. Hey, you are fell down on the middle of the road. Another lorry will come and crash you. Come on, wake up, go to side of the road and make yourself safe. So that's what that amygdala does. You are getting it? The same way, when you switch on the machine, you know who wakes up first? Not the processor. Yeah, the BIOS is our amygdala. You know what is BIOS? What is basic input output? Yeah, what is basic input output? It's a small chip, okay, and that chip gets the first power from the power supply unit, and that is something like our hostel warden. This guy wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Once he gets the alarm, he immediately goes to everyone and wakes up each and every individual. That's what BIOS does. BIOS sends an FF signal. You know what is FF? FF. What is F? Hexadecimal F. 16. When you convert that into binary, it is 1111. And another F is 1111, which is 8 ones, 8 bits of ones. So it means, you know, 1 byte is 8 bits. All ones are sent to CPU. When CPU receives all ones, that is a wake up signal for CPU. So first BIOS will send to CPU. Have you ever seen a booting procedure? Have you seen when you push a laptop on or PC on, you would have seen machine coming up and then it says Pentium 3 CPU, 400 megahertz, something like that. That's nothing but BIOS have sent the FF signal to CPU and ask him, hey, wake up, who are you? Every time it checks. You know why? Last time when I shut down, it was Pentium 3. Before powering on, I replaced Pentium 3 with Pentium 4. So this will go and check for you. It will wake up and say, hey, I'm Pentium 3 CPU 400 megahertz. That's what the counting shows. Then it goes FF signal from memory. It will ask memory, hey memory, please count yourself and tell me how much GB of RAM you have. Last time you had 2 GB of RAM, today you have upgraded to 4 GB. It will count and say 4 GB RAM. Then it goes to hard disk. Hey hard disk, who are you? I'm Seagate 80 GB hard disk. Hey CD-ROM, who are you? I am Samsung CD-ROM. It goes to every component. That's called post. Power on, self-test. This procedure is called power on, self-test. It goes to each component, wakes up and identifies who are you. It creates a small inventory of who and all there in the hardware list. Power on, self-test. Then BIOS. Yeah, BIOS does it. This is called hardware boot phase. Whatever we are seeing here is the hardware boot phase. This is the first phase. Okay, when power on self-test is done, then what it does next is in BIOS there is an option to choose the boot order. What is boot order? Boot order or boot priority. What is boot order? Who is the first boot device? So whom should I ask for booting? Who is holding the operating system? If it is hard drive, CD drive, USB drive, network device, whatever it is there, it should be in 1, 2, 3, 4 order. Based on the boot order, it will go and read each boot device first 512 bytes, which is called MBR, master boot record. We saw that in the file system. Every device has the first 512 bytes block for MBR. When you install OS will go and write the first MBR information there. Where the first boot device is hard drive, goes and read the first 512 bytes, and then if it finds that's an OS, it will start it. Otherwise, it will go to the next boot device. So it will read the MBR, and then reading that MBR is called bootstrapping. What is bootstrap? Have you used the shoes or even now chappals come with the strap, right? What is strapping? Like in school days when teacher says silence, we immediately start putting our shoes. Crack, crack. You do that? Yeah. Yeah, we do this in our schools. Even the chapels have that strapping. So what bootstrapping means? CPU can read only RAM, not the hard disk. So what the CPU instructs hard disk is, hey hard disk, I don't know you. Just take your 512 bytes, put it onto the RAM. Let me read the RAM and understand whether it's a Windows or Unix or AX. So it will just instruct the hard disk. Hard disk will copy the content to the RAM, and that process is called bootstrapping. They strapping the information from the hard drive, pasting it onto the RAM. It's called bootstrap. Is that fine? Okay. So what does that 512 bytes of information contain? Just 512 bytes. We know that's MBR. Yeah, yeah. So let me tell you what is there inside it. In Linux case, it is called grub, which is 446 bytes plus partition table, which is 66 bytes. Which is, I think there should be 512. When you count it, it's 5, is it 512? Yeah. So grub and partition table. Don't worry about grub and partition table at this moment. I'll tell you what it is. Partition table is something like you have one full hard disk of 100 GB. Partition table will tell you would have partitioned it C drive, D drive, E drive. So how much is C drive, how much is D drive, how much is E drive is stored inside this partition table. Okay. What is grub? Grub is nothing but Grand Unified Bootloader. That's called bootloader. Bootloader is nothing but this 446 bytes contains the OS image, and in your PC and all you would have seen multiple boots, multi boots. When it boots, it says, do you want to boot through Windows XP or Windows 7? That option comes. That's by the bootloader where the multiple boot blocks are there. Which one do you want to boot? That's where the grub is. Fine. Okay. Let me split this grub 446 bytes into further pieces. It contains kernel and initard. What is kernel? Kernel is the core of the operating system, heart of the operating system, core of the brain of the operating system, which decides yes, no, approve, reject. So that kernel resides inside this 446 bytes, and also initRD. What is initRD? Initial RAM disk. Okay. So initial RAM disk means we need some device driver to access your hard disk. You know that OS cannot be there in this 512 bytes, right? We need to go and read the entire hard disk, C drive, Windows, C Windows folder, and whatever the OS folder is. We have to go and read all these files to get it done. If I want to read a hard disk, then I need to have the device driver of the hard disk. That device driver also will be part of this. It's called RAM disk, initial RAM disk, init RD. Okay. Once the kernel and initRD comes up, the OS starts here by starting the first process, PID1, which is INIT. Init is the first process. Okay. So this is the boot phase, hardware boot phase, which says about how many power on, BIOS will come into picture, and BIOS will perform a test called power on self test. And when the power on self test is done, it goes to the boot order. The first boot device, second boot device, it goes and search for the MBR, and MBR is a 512 bytes. From MBR, it has grub and the partition table, or you can say bootloader and the partition table. Bootloader contains kernel and initRD. Kernel is the core of the OS, and initRD is the initial RAM disk minimum driver required to boot the OS. Starts the first process called init. So what is the first process in Unix? INIT. First process is started. You want to see that? PS-EF. I'm coming. Yeah. No, you see that init processor there. Process ID is one. No, you can't see the order. When you get stuck somewhere, you have to follow through this troubleshooting steps. We can see that even. Yeah, we can see that in maintenance mode. That's why I told you today, the root password recovery, you'll have to follow that process. Yeah, this is the process ID is one init. So till this place, your initial hardware boot phase is done. You say this for 5 minutes, then the other two phases of OS boot phase, you can even ignore. Till this itself, people will find, hey, he is very sound. Only an OS administrator with good hardware knowledge will be called a system admin. Just to OS administrator, like I know how to manage Windows doesn't make anything. So anybody, like even the end user, my kid is working good in Windows, but he cannot troubleshoot. He doesn't know the beep sounds and other stuff. The hardware booting is very important. Is that fine? Okay. This is the standard one for Linux, Windows, and all. Let me just change this to AX. While saying power on, after power on, instead of saying BIOS, you have to say ROS, RISC operating system. RISC, RISC, reduced instruction set computer. Yeah, that's the RISC. So ROS, ROS is the smaller version of OS, which is for BIOS. Instead of saying BIOS, you can say ROS. Reduced Instruction Set Computing, RISC. R stands for RISC. OS is operating system. Okay. So boot order is otherwise called SMS menu. You know what is SMS? System Managed Service. Yeah. So instead of saying boot order, you can say from SMS menu, we can set the boot order, and based on the boot order device, we will start booting.
The boot order only we need to change that one. But in Windows we will be changing in BIOS.
BIOS. Yeah, here SMS is or something like BIOS.
But for AX we need to
Change it in the BIOS. The BIOS is otherwise called SMS here.
BIOS only SMS or boot order.
No.
Boot order is an option.
Boot order is an option inside SMS. SMS ROS. ROS is the chip. Inside ROS, the BIOS OS is called SMS. Yeah. Okay. Replace it. For first, what you saw is applicable for everything. But when it comes to AX, you have to show that AX difference. You still say BIOS, post, boot order, MBR is also fine. But you want to show yourself as a Linux guy or AX guy based on just changing this word. Yeah. Okay. Instead of MBR, you have to use BLV, boot logical volume. Instead of bootstrapping, you have to say bootloader. Yeah. And instead of UNITRD, you have to say RAM disk. That's it.
And the reduced modium is
Reduced?
modium.
No, it will come in the next, in the OS boot.
Unit reduced modium.
No, UNITRD will have a small device driver. We will see that in the coming up. The RAM disk, yeah. We will come. You are not attended the devices club. And that I have said about ODM. No worries, we'll catch up. So far clear? Hardware boot phase. Are you able to visualize? This is what happening only in the very first phase. Initial 1 or 2 minutes, this is what is happening. Yeah, which OS to select? In MDR, yeah, the grub will have many OSs inside, list of OSs. You can choose one of the OS from it. OS list. List of OSs where the OSs are, and the main thing is the kernel and UNITRD. Where the kernel is, where the UNITRD is. You see that, yeah, in the file system we saw the MBR boot record. So we can have multiple OS on each boot record. Is that fine? Okay. So once the unit starts, the OS boot phase starts. No, you do not say grub on. You should say bootloader and finish it. Grub is specific to Linux. Yeah. Okay. So now here comes the OS boot phase. What is the OS boot phase? Now the OS comes up. So far, like you are waking up from the bed, your body is waking up, your physical hardware is waking up. So till some time, until you brush your teeth, you are still confused state, right? Your OS has not booted. Your Raj Mahesh has not come up. Your Logesh has not come up. Now the first process will say that, hey Raj Mahesh, wake up. Now it is your turn. Now Raj Mahesh will wake. Otherwise, all the 10 people who wakes up in a similar way. Once they wake up, they become Raj Mahesh, they become Lokesh, they become Shafiq. Yeah, so that's why we have finished up the hardware boot phase. We are getting into the OS boot phase. What the OS boot phase does is, first it will mount, okay, root var on RAM disk as read only. What is read only? What is read only? So from the hard disk, I am taking the root volume, var volume, some important volumes, and mounting it onto the RAM disk, because RAM only has the RAM disk only has mounted from the 512 megabytes, it has taken the RAM area, minimum OS, and just put there, right? On that OS, it will mount root and some of the logical volumes, USR, var, as a read only. What is read only? You cannot make any changes to it. Okay. Then what it does is it runs a command called boss boot to find out what was the last shutdown. What is the last shutdown? Whether the system has gone down abruptly or is it a proper shutdown. Every day even you are shutting down the server, if you are not shut down the server, the staff would have abruptly powered off the machine. So boss boot command will say that whether the system has gone down abruptly or the system has been properly shut down. If it is properly shut down, it will follow the proper boot procedure. If it is abruptly shut down, then it will go inside the crash dump. You remember this word crash dump sometime? Paging. In paging, what is paging? What is the use of page file? So you remember the page file class? When I took the page file class, I told you that it's not increasing the RAM on the hard disk. It is like a black box in aeroplanes. You know, remember? Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you that. Yeah, okay. Don't worry, I'll cover that. Okay. What paging is, whenever you load an application onto the RAM, a space is reserved on your hard disk so that when RAM is getting full, the unused, like in your laptop, there are unnecessarily we have opened many applications, but we are not using it. This will go inside your hard disk. That's called page files. Okay. So whenever you are opening that application again, it will again copy back from hard disk to RAM. It's called paging. Yeah. Yeah. So it will take some time to load back. The reason is not on the RAM. It has been taken to the hard drive. So your hard disk works like a black box in aeroplanes. Whenever you open application, whenever you close an application, that all gets registered on your page file. So when the system is abruptly powered down, RAM will get cleared off, but hard disk will not get cleared off. Hard disk will have that information. When boss boot says that abrupt shutdown, from the hard disk at page area, it will copy back to your RAM, and then from RAM it will copy back to your var adm ras crash.0 or crash.1, like that. It will create crash file, and what you have to do, you have to call IBM and you have to send the crash files to them. They will do a crash dump analysis and say that why the crash has happened. It's a human error, or CPU got bad, hard disk got bad, OS got corrupted, whatever it is. Using the crash dump analysis, they will find and tell you have to do the rectification. Only if boss boot says, if it is a abrupt. If it is a normal, it will follow the next procedure saying that mount slash usr slash var as read write and start booting. Start booting means read etc init tab. There's a file called etc init tab. In this tab, by reading this file, start booting. Okay, so this file, this area will be skipped if boss boot says there's no crash. Is that fine? Is it clear? I'll go to the next one. Which one? So this is while booting. While booting, it will check what was the last shutdown. That's what boss boot does. Last shutdown is abrupt, then do the crash dump. If it is clear, just keep it, go and start booting with the normal. Vary on the volume group, vary on the root VG, mount these volumes as read write, and then read the etc init and start booting. Okay, here comes the OS boot phase 2. Yeah, already first process started in the hardware boot phase. no, that's PID only has started all this boot phase 1. Then it comes to OS boot phase 2, where etc init tab line by line entries have been read, and we'll see. So we'll start with the etc init tab. We'll see what is the etc init tab. General away, whenever you have an issue with your machine is not booting, somebody said there's an alert LED. Looking at the alert LED count, It will say some number. Based on that, that number will say at which phase it has failed. Then you know that, oh, okay, RAM disk problem. Oh, this is a boss boot problem. You can fix it. So in real time, you'll have to, like you say that a doctor, for you, just you wake up normally, you do your work, you are healthy. You cannot wake up normally, you cannot even start brushing your teeth, which means you are abnormal. Your doctor only can find where it is gone wrong. So he will ask you, what time do you usually wake up? What time do you wake up today? He will try to troubleshoot and try to fix it. You fine? Good. So let's see the etc init tab, cat/etc/init tab. Very important file. Do not mess up with this file. If you mess this file, obviously your booting will get stopped. Okay. So this is the content of etc init tab. So there are some colons and hash comments. These are comments. Don't worry about this. From here, your init will start reading. Is that fine? Okay. So let me just give you a small brief about etc init tab so you get an idea. Okay. etc init tab is like your etc password file. It is a database which contains what are the boot information. Okay, separated by columns. You can see that some columns coming in between, right? Okay. So etc init tab looks something like this. First is init label colon. Okay. When to run, how to run, what to run. What is init label? Some unique name so that that name gets repeated. So some name like your username, Logesh. Only one Logesh should be there. You cannot get another Logesh. So there's one label so that with that we can identify that line. What is when to run? When to run means run levels. What is run levels? In Windows you have start normal. What is that? Come on, help me with Windows. Safe mode. Safe mode with command prompt. Safe mode with network. What is it? Security mode. So you have all this. These are called different run levels. What is the difference between normal boot and safe mode boot? No. In safe mode boot, it will not start load all the drivers. It will not load the video driver. It will not load the audio driver. It will not load. It is very plain. After boot, you will see only a 800 by 600 screen. Your mouse, you have 3 buttons. Which one?
Usually this whole menus will become
Yeah, that's because because your system that boss boot command runs something similar to boss boot command runs by Windows. It finds that last shutdown was improper, so it is prompting you for that particular question. You want to restore your last known boot configuration. You ask for all this kind of questions. It's because of it. Yeah. So you can easily correlate that is happening here. Okay. So you know there are different run levels in Windows. Same way we have different run levels in Unix. So let me just put those here. Run level 0 is shutdown. Run level 1 is single user mode. Okay. So it can be 1, yes, or capital S. All are single user mode. M, capital M are maintenance mode. I'll tell you what is single user mode and maintenance. What is single user mode? Only one user can log in, and that too on the console. So whenever you have a root password lost, what you do? You get into single user mode without asking password. It will get inside the system and change the password of root. So if you want to do that, you have to go to the console and do it. That's called single user mode. For security reason, you want to be on the console. Only the person who has access to console can reset the password. Okay. So what is single user mode? Only one user can work. Now for this helper, Raju helper, many users are logging simultaneously. That is not possible in single user mode. Only one user. What is maintenance mode? More like single user mode, but the difference is even you can unmount root walling group. You can do maintenance on root VG. You can even do C drive some maintenance. Like C drive maintenance, we call this root VG, root walling group maintenance. You can do it using maintenance. Is that fine? Okay. What is run level 2? Multi-user mode. What is run level 3? 2 plus NFS. You know what is NFS? Run level 2 is multi-user mode. Multi-user mode plus network file sharing. Like multiple people can log in, and I can share one of my directory from this server to another server. You do sharing on Windows. You D movies, right click share to that computer. That's called NFS, network file sharing. So run level 3, that is done. 4 is not used. Yeah, 4 is used for future purpose. Run level 5, shutdown. Run level 6, reboot. Okay. 7, 0 is shutdown, 5 is also shutdown. Yeah. In Linux, 5 is graphical user. Okay. Over here, 5 is shutdown. Okay. 7 to 9, future use. Future use means you can use this for Oracle application. Install the Oracle and put it on an entry in run level 7. When you say run level 7, it will automatically start the Oracle database. So you can use it for future use, whatever purpose. Okay. I'll come to that. Yeah. A to F also is used for future use. So these are the run levels. So these are different run levels. Okay. So when OS your etc init tab has been read, it will go and read each one by one entry in a sequence. So we'll see how it starts. So here it reads the very first line. This is a very important line. Init default line. What is init default? The default run level. So question may be like this. Tell me what is your default run level in AX. So what you have to do? You have to go and see the etc init tab file. Search for the init default keyword. What is the default run level? So it's multi-user. Whenever system starts, it reads the run level 2 and it starts running those scripts. Okay. What if the run level is 6? Init default I put it 6. Reboot. What will happen? System will power on, go through this process, go through this process, go through the process. When it comes here, init default is 6. What happens? Restart again. It will come here. I'll tell you. This is the one exam question in Red Hat. You go to Red Hat, the practical exam. They will set it to reboot. So there will be some 10 guys attending the exam. 8 of them are sitting and waiting for login to come. It will never come. At this point, it will again go back, reboot, go back, reboot. They will say that's the system problem. So what you have to do? You have to stop it at SMS menu. Yeah, and boot the system in maintenance mode, and then go here to etc init tab, edit this entry from 6 to restart. Now it will be good. Okay, now you know what is init default? Okay. So this is init label, when to run. This is how to run. How to run means you can say sysinit. What is sysinit? When system is initializing. So run this command. Run this command only if system is booting. Power fail. Run this command when the system is failing power. Once. Only one time. The system is booting, you are changing the run level from one level, safe mode to normal, normal to safe to normal. Every time it will not run, only one time it will run. That's called once. You can see wait. What is wait? After finishing of this line, okay, it will read this line. While it is reading this line and is executing, it will not go to the next line. So it will wait until this line is complete. This job is done, then it will go to the next line. What is boot wait? Same like wait, but this line gets executed only during booting. Other times when you change, it will not use. Okay, so there are different kinds of that. You get one more important respawn. What is respawn? Respawn. Respawn is something like you kill it, it will rebirth. You kill it, it will rebirth. That's called respawning. Yeah. So so these are some of the different kinds of how to run. No, they are some of the keywords. Yeah, in this file there are some of the keywords. I'll tell you how to edit it, but at this point in time we'll not worry about editing. We'll just go to standards. Is that fine? Okay. Then what is the last one? What to run? What to run is nothing but some commands. They say run this command, run this command, run this command. So they give commands. So EDC init tab is easy. Okay. So you're not supposed to edit using VA init tab. You have ls itab hyphen all. ls itab hyphen all. Okay. ls itab hyphen a. You can see the same output. Yeah. Okay. So instead of doing cat etc init tab, you can do ls itab. So if there's ls itab, there are other three commands: mk itab, rm itab, ch itab. Okay, we'll see. And to address Raj's question, if it is run level 2 here, what files, how I will get into safe mode or normal mode is because of this. When it is run level 2, it will come down here and it will execute this line. If it is run level 3, it will go here and execute this line. Run level 4, it goes and executes this line. You are getting it? So yeah, so all the scripts are kept here. cd etc rc.d. You can see all this file. cd rc2.d. So you can see some k and s scripts. K means kill, s means start. Yeah. So S means it will start those, K means it will kill those. Which can be boot files. Yeah. So normally we go from one level to another level. We go from normal to safe mode. What will happen? It will kill device drivers. When you go from safe mode to normal mode, what will happen? It will start. So K is kill, S is start. Is that fine? Like this, we have number of kill and start scripts. This one we normally don't change. If at all when you become L2, L2 plus, you might need to know all this. But at least you know the location and some of the files there. Is that fine? Okay. So how will you check what is the current run level? Who minus R. Who minus R says that your current run level is 2. And run level 2. Yeah. Multi-user. And here also you see some numbers, which means this is your current run level. Before getting to this run level, it was on this run level. And before this is on this run level. Which means from system power off, you have started as single user. From there, it has came to multi-user. So you can say this one. You can also have run level command. What is that command? Forgot. It's a unit command is there. I forgot. Okay. Just don't worry. Who minus R is one way of finding it. I'll let you know what the other command. Okay. So let's we have seen LSI tab. Let's add one entry. Yeah. MKI tab. Double quotes and say Raj colon run level 2, run level 3, run level 4. Only on these run levels. Yeah, only once. Say echo hello. Okay. Enter. You see the last line was HA star. Now see LSI tab. Rajesh come. Okay. No, you are not supposed to edit this file. I'm saying that now Oracle team has asked you to start Oracle during startup. Put an Oracle entry here. They'll give you the Oracle start commands where which run level it should start. They'll give all this info. Put Oracle and put this in. Okay. So CHI tab. I want to replace Raj. Instead of 234, I want it on 345. Only one time. LSI tab hyphen A. You see the difference now? When I go high, 345. So CHI tab I can do it. RMI tab Raj. Raj is removed. So normally we don't do this. Only for a learning sake I put this. MKI tab, RMI tab, CHI tab, LSI tab to edit this file. This file should not be touched. If you touch it, you should be 100% sure what you are doing. Otherwise, you will land up screwing up the system. System won't do. You're fine? Okay with the boot procedure? Yeah. Finally, a login prompt comes, then system is all okay. Now we know at what pace what is going to happen, and we'll see. Okay, let me just show you step by step by rebooting the server. Yeah. Okay. Now reboot. I'm on the console. Yes. What was it? You should not use it. Editor, if you are not strong, then you might end up screwing up the system. That's why they come up with this command. Okay. Now you see that IBM kind of screen will come up. That's nothing but your BIOS. At the time it stops with escape one to start with the yeah now it's rebooting. You see this? I just stopped it. I can press escape one to get into SMS menu. Yeah. Escape 8 to firmware prompt. 5 for default boot list, stored list. So I press escape one. Now I got this screen. Yeah. So this is like your BIOS. Yeah. So in BIOS you have to change the boot order. I can go to option number 5, right? That's boot option. So it's asking me what kind of boot device I want to. So I can select one. I can boot through disk, I can boot through tape, CD, ID, hard drive. So I can select whatever. I can select hard disk, which SCSI, SSA, I guess SCSI. I can say which I only one SCSI, so I just select the one. Because it will find my hard disk. It says only one hard disk of 21 GB. I can select the hard disk. Now it is asked for whether normal mode or service mode. I can say normal mode and fire. Now it will yes. Are you sure? Now it is starting booting. Now this is the place. You see that MBR is getting loaded. 512 bytes is getting loaded onto your RAM now. You will get a welcome to AX screen then. Taking the time. Just give it some time for because this particular LPAR has many disks. Yeah, and this has been under maintenance for some time. So we have removed HDisk one yesterday. So it might have some yeah. Usually it will start giving a welcome to AX screen, and then from there, if you follow through the text that I gave you, and this it will be matching one to one. Yeah, that's a long time. Ah, welcome to AX. Boot image has got loaded. So this is the kernel size. Kernel got loaded. Boot devices, particular devices. So MBR got loaded onto the RAM and system has started booting. Now if you watch the screen, I wanted to watch the screen. What happens next? Like as per our procedure, we are till here. Now we are doing this boot phase. Yeah, it will start mounting it on read only, boss boot. Most of the errors are not redirected to console, so that's why you cannot see. But let's see how whatever it is. Since memory is slow and more LPAs are running, I think that's why it's taking a bit time. Otherwise, it would be a you have to give some sufficient time for booting. It's not like Windows, you can quickly boot up. Yeah. You can DLPAR the RAM, I think it might be much faster. So any doubts on boot procedure? Will you be able this you can beautifully speak for 15-20 minutes. No, it's confusing, but I want you to go through that. You cannot see this. I want you to assume, and you have to just parallelly assume that this is how the system works. You are not a hardware engineer. You can never term yourself a system admin. People directly go to system in training. They are supposed to go through hardware training. They don't know. They have not seen a memory. They have not seen a hard disk. They have not seen a motherboard. How can they call themselves a system? First thing that you have to do is you have to learn hardware.
Solutions are available on
Yeah, hardware.
server.
There's no difference, I would say. There's no difference. The CPU of a laptop and CPU of a server, if you see physically, you don't find any difference. Internal architecture wise, it is different. That we will learn during that specific training. So at least you should know, make a difference between CPU and memory, CPU and hard disk. Yeah, see, you can see that. Start booting up. See stream daemon, error daemon. It starts each daemon based on your EDC init tab entry. It search. There is no improper shutdown last time, so it starts initializing. Yeah, you can see that it's kernel getting initialized. Yeah, some tunable parameters. We saw some tunable parameters in the EDC init tab, right? It is tuning those parameters. Performing, what is that? Vary on volume groups. Now your root is getting activated, activating the paging, activating your
That is
what is
volume.
which one?
Volume.
Which one?
Volume group is
Root VG. Root VG is your OS volume group that gets started. Start activates all the paging space that we have. See HT1. This is your DLV. It starts booting up. OPT, everything gets mounted one after the other, and finally you get the login screen. Whatever we have learned in this step, it is happening on the backend. Yeah, well, you see that it's all the services are getting started. Yeah, and finally you get a login prompt. You can log into the system. This is a getty prompt. This is the OS boot procedure. Yeah. Any doubts, questions? Yeah. Shutting down is the reverse of this. Yeah. You're not supposed to init 0 or this one. You have to just go with shutdown command. Yeah. There's a shutdown command. Shutdown hyphen R is for reboot. Shutdown hyphen F is for fast reboot. Fast reboot. And this is for reboot. Yeah. So you can make use of this. What else? I think it's telnet. That's what I. Yeah. Telnet is a command to move from one run level to another run level. What is my current run level? Q minus R. Run level 2. Shall I go to run level 1? Still doing. See, now I'm run level 1. You see this output? Now I'm in run level 1. Before that it was run level 2. Correct? So you can see that. Yeah, you are 7. Okay. Telnet 7. Okay. As far as the boot procedure is concerned, I wanted to look into one key important stuff. Another interview question. They will ask you in root VG what are the partitions available? HD0, HD1, HD2, HD3. What are those partitions and what are their file systems? Like we say USR, VAR, home, what and all is there, we have to explain.
you can put the LSTP that
Yeah,
are
yeah, I'll get that. You see this? Home and SR, run level 7. No, but you have that particular directory which will take you that start scripts. where you can add some additional stuff. Okay, 2 minus half. And also. Okay, now fine. Now what we will do is, so you are asking something, right? Yes, LSVG hyphen L root VG. You can see this. Please be aware about these particular logical volumes. ST5, ST6, ST8. So your boot volume BLV is ST5. Your home is ST1. ST2 is USR. ST9 is VAR. ST3 is temp. ST6 is paging. Yeah, you got it? It's a 5%. This is another interview question, so please be aware of it. Fine. So any questions? How about you? Oh, it's not there.